Take out your history book, Chapter 8, Policies of British Expansion. Today's topic, Expansion of the East India Company. The East India Company acquired both wealth and political power over the course of the next century. Now, East India Company, they have taken the political power and even the wealth from in the course of next century. From a commercial trading venture, the company transformed into a ruling class. Now, the East India Company, they came as a trading venture, but they transformed themselves into a ruling authority. Between 1757 to 1857, the company expanded its territory in India. Now, it was the year, that was between the year 1757 to 1857. This company, they expanded their territories in India. All possible methods, engaging in war with regional kingdom, installing puppet rulers in kingdom, annexation of peaceful but devious means. Now, all possible methods that engaged in war with the regional kingdom, installing puppet rulers in the kingdom, annex the peaceful but devious means were exercised to expand the company's rule. Now, what they did, they exercised this to expand the company's rule within the Indian subcontinent, within this Indian subcontinent. Different governor generals also introduced policies which were meant to enhance British power. Now, different governor generals, what they did, they introduced many policies which were meant to enhance the British power in India. Expansion under Lord Wellesley, that is 1798 to 1800. Lord Wellesley was the Governor General of India from 1798 to 1800. Now, Lord Wellesley, who was he? He was the Governor General of India. That was from the year 1798 to 1805. He extended the British influence by introducing subsidiary alliance under which several Indian powers were subjugated without war. Now, what he did, he extended the British influence. How? By introducing subsidiary alliance system under several Indian powers which were subjugated without war. Subsidiary alliance was offered to any Indian ruler who felt threatened by any external. Now, subsidiary alliance, what was it? It was offered to many Indian rulers who felt too threatened by any external power. It was an offer of help and protection from the British to any regional ruler from external threats and even internal revolt. Now, what was it? This was an offer and this protection from the British to the regional ruler from external threats and even the internal revolts. However, it came with a heavy price as the Indian. Now, how it came? It came just as a heavy price as the Indian ruler. In return, had to accept the treacherous terms and conditions. In return, what they had to do? They had to accept the treacherous terms and even the conditions. Terms of the subsidiary alliance. Under the subsidiary alliance, the princely state could continue to rule their territory but had to disband their army as the states were given an assurance of protection from the British in times of the strife. Now, under this subsidiary alliance, the princely state, what they did? They had continued to rule their territory, but they had to disband their army as the states, and states were given some assurance of protection from this British in times of strife. British troops were permanently stationed in the territory of the Indian ruler who accepted the alliance. Now, British troops, what happened? They permanently stationed. They had permanently stopped there in the territories of the Indian ruler who accepted the alliance. Now, the kingdom had to maintain this British kingdom. What they had to do? They had to maintain this British troop. If the troops weren't maintained, a part of the princely territory was taken away. Now, if the troop, they couldn't maintain it, what happened? A part, means some part of princely state territory, it would have taken away, and the revenues acquired from the part were used to maintain that. And the revenues, that means the money which were acquired from the part, they were used to maintain the troop. This feature helped Lord Wellesley to organize a strong English army to clear out the French from the India. Now, this step, what happened? This step helped Lord Wellesley to create a strong English army to clear the French from the Indian and transform the company into a sovereign. And then they transformed the company into a sovereign power. The ruler had to accept the British residents in the court. The court was posted as a political agent and his work was to promote British interests. Now, ruler, what they had to do? They had to accept a British resident in his court, and the president, what they had to do? They had to post a political agent and his work, they had to promote the British interest. The ruler had to seek prior permission from the resident if he had to meet or approach a foreigner. The ruler, what they had to do? They had to seek some prior permission from the resident if he had to meet or approach a foreigner. He even had to consult the British resident when he wanted to negotiate with the other Indian state. Now, even what had to do? He had to consult the British resident if he wanted to negotiate with the other Indian state. The rulers couldn't enter into an alliance with other powers. Now, ruler, what they couldn't do? They couldn't enter into an alliance with the other power indigenous or foreign, nor could they declare war without the permission of the rulers. They could not enter any alliance with other power indigenous to foreign, nor what they could do, they can't declare any war without the permission of the British. The Indian rulers who had previously waged war against the British and had been defeated were forced to accept the alliance. Now, Indian ruler who had previously gone against the British and they were defeated by the British, they were forced to accept the alliance. Many Indian states entered into this alliance. The first ruler to enter into this alliance was Nizam of Hyderabad. Now, many Indian states they had to enter this alliance, and the first ruler. That means the first Indian ruler who entered in this alliance, it was the Nizam of Hyderabad, who was followed by the ruler of Mysore, the Rajput king, the Nawab of Awadh and the Maratha. And this Nizam of Hyderabad, he was followed by the rulers of Mysore, Rajput king, the Nawab of Awadh and the Marathas. Impact of subsidiary alliance. The subsidiary alliance was advantageous for the British. Now, this subsidiary alliance, it was very advantageous for the Britishers. Territories of the Indian rulers could be taken away at any point of time by the British, either to maintain British troops or under any other pretext. Now, Indian territories could be taken away at any time by the British, either to maintain the British troops or any other pretext. Thus, British Empire was able to expand in India without war. Now, in this way, British Empire, it was able to expand in India without any war. Maintaining the British troop was an expensive affair, but the Indian state who entered the subsidiary alliance was forced to do so. Now, maintaining this British troop, what it was? It was an expensive affair, but this Indian state who used to enter the subsidiary alliance, they were forced to do so. Hence, the British were able to maintain a large army at the expense of the... And so, the British, what they had to do? They had to maintain a large army at the expense of the Indian rulers. The presence of the British resident in the court curtailed the influence of other foreign powers in the Indian court and proved beneficial to the company in the long run. Now, presence of this British resident, and that is in the court. What it did? It curtailed this influence of the other foreign powers in the Indian court and even proved beneficial to the company in the long run. However, it had a negative impact on the states who accepted or who was forced to accept the alliance. Now, however, what happened? It had a very negative impact on the states who accept and who were forced to accept the alliance. The Indian rulers under the alliance lost their independence as they could not take any independent decision. The Indian ruler. Under this alliance, what they had to do? They had to, under the alliance, they lost their independence and because they could not take any independent decision, that is regarding the administration of the kingdom. The subsidiary alliance led to the impoverishment of the Indian state as they were forced to pay huge amounts to the British. Now, subsidiary alliance. What it led to? It led to the impoverishment of the Indian ruler because they were forced to pay huge amounts to the British. Economic strength or impoverishment often led to collapse of the administration. Now, economic strength or the improvement often it led to the collapse of the administration. This provided an opportunity for the British to seize the Indian territory on the grounds of misgovernance and the administrative failure. As they were protected by the British from the internal revolts, most of the Indian rulers intended to ignore the welfare of their subjects. Now, as they protected by this British from this internal revolt, most of the Indian rulers, what they tended that they would ignore the welfare of the subject. They became more oppressive and exploitative from the common people suffer. Now, what they became? Very oppressive they became and exploitative, and the common people had to suffer. The subsidiary alliance also aided British in defeating the. Now, subsidiary alliance also helped the British to defeat the Marathas. Now, expansion under Lord Hastings. Lord Hastings became the Governor General of Bengal in 1813. Now, Lord General. In 1813, Lord Hastings, what he became? He became the Governor General of Bengal. He adopted a vigorous forward-looking policy and waged war extensively. Now, what he did? He looked for a vigorous policy and then he waged war. His aggressive and imperialist policies paved the way for the general expansion of the British Empire in India. Now, his aggressive and this imperialist policy, what happened? It showed the way for the general expansion of the British Empire in India. Outright wars that was held between 1805 to 1814. Lord Hastings introduced the policy of paramountcy in India, which stated that the company's authority was supreme and hence its power was greater than that of Indian state. Now, Lord Hastings, what he introduced? He introduced the policy of paramountcy in India. Now, what does it state? What does it say? It says that East India Company's authority, it was more supreme and so the power was more greater than the Indian state. Lord Hastings and his successor followed an outright policy of war and annexation. Now, Lord Hastings and even his successor, what they followed? They followed an outright policy of war and succession and greatly expanded the British state. And what they did? They greatly expanded the British territories in India. Several independent regional kingdoms like the Marathas. Now, many independent kingdoms like the Maratha, Mysore and Punjab were brought under British rule through military conquest. Now, several independent regional kingdoms, that was like the Marathas, Mysore and Punjab, they were brought under the British rule through the military conquest. Now, take out your diary, write chapter, that is chapter 8. Policies of British expansion, page 79 to 81. Explain, homework, revise it. And with this, I am ending my today's class.